Toxic work culture is more common than we think, and it is not something that is just associated with work life balance. There are a lot of things associated with it. Today, I want to share with you guys some stories that have happened with some people in real. One of my friends, when he was joining a new company, he was promised that he will get a hike in next 6 months. It was a startup which had 4 developers initially, and the team size grew quickly to 15 developers, including the 4. But among the 4 developers, there were 2 senior developers who were a bit crazy. They used to work day and night in the company. They used to come at random times, even on Sundays at night 3 a.m. to the office. Basically, they were putting more working hours than average for the company. Eventually, the bar of expectations was reached so much that everyone was expected to work that much. Everyone was expected to put more working hours. While some were able to do so, others didn't care enough and they just ignored the thing. After 6 months, when my friend went to the founder and he asked that he needs a raise, the founder told that he is doing good and he will be considered for getting a raise after the end of the year. My friend said he wants a hike now and he was promised about that. The founder told him that he is doing good, but the other 2 developers are doing much better, and that's why the other 2 developers will be considered before him for a raise. My friend said that even if he gets the hike that he deserves, he will not put that many work hours because that's crazy. Eventually, my friend was laid off after a few months of waiting. Now I'll tell you another story. One of my friend was working for an ambitious company, but he had a sudden change in his team and his project was getting closed, so he was assigned to another team and another engineering manager. Once he had a debate, a small argument with his new manager. It was New Year time, so he was actually gonna go home to his native place after 2 days, and for that he was actually preparing, and for that he took an early day off. And while the manager knew that, the manager calls him for a meeting and scolds him for a task that was not his responsibility. So my friend goes at 9 p.m. in the night to the office, and there he realizes that the work is already fixed by someone else. He calls his manager and he asks, "Why did you do that when the work was already fixed?" That turned out to be his biggest mistake. The very next day, the engineering manager and the product manager calls this guy for a meeting, and the meeting starts with what happened yesterday. And then they put some false allegations on him and basically they convince him that he is wrong. The work got out of the topic and he is now being convinced that his character is wrong. He is trying to defend himself, but eventually he got convinced that he is wrong. Not only for one thing that happened yesterday, but for many other things that he didn't even do. There were Christmas celebrations that were going on in the office. Everyone was celebrating and everyone was happy, while this guy had tears in his eyes. He was questioning himself. Both the EM and the product manager realized that this conversation can go legally wrong, so they took a pause. It took time for this guy to realize that there were so many things that were going on in the office. His previous manager was fired for unknown reasons. His previous team is broken and now this. He was a fresher, so he didn't know that these things can happen. After a few weeks, the manager started ignoring him. This guy used to sit alone, doing nothing at all in the office while everyone was overloaded with work. Basically, an environment was being created where he would not survive and he would resign. And eventually he did. I'll tell you another story regarding someone that I met recently. His company hired a CTO of a small startup as a senior software developer as that startup got closed. Now this guy bought some more friends of his previous startup, some junior developers. And this guy himself was a junior developer, so he was looking for opportunities to grow and to prove himself. But the senior developer had some other things in his mind. He wanted to bring his friends into limelight. So he used to give more responsibilities to his friends and he used to make sure that those friends work day and night and on weekends as well. And then he used to showcase that work to others and they used to get praised and they used to get appreciated, while this guy was put on sidelines. These were 3 examples of unrealistic expectations gaslighting, and favoritism. Gaslighting is making someone doubt themselves. It's an emotional crime. Your manager can convince you that you do not deserve the hike that you're asking for, while he can have more options to tell you that you will not get the hike. The company is not making profits, there are less number of clients, and there are so many reasons that can be positive, and the employee will also support the company in those cases. But if he chooses to convince you what you deserve or not, then that's the wrong thing. Favoritism is giving preference to one person while other people are sidelined. Favoritism goes against equal opportunity concept. One has to work less and the other has to work more to prove himself. One is always in the limelight and the other has to struggle. All points are signs of toxic work culture. Now, what is toxic work culture? It is an environment which harms your personal growth. It harms your career as well as your mental health. In large companies where there are more people and more competition, the signs of toxic work culture is more evident. However, in startups and small companies where there are less people, toxicity can be misunderstood. Startups are more hungry for a net positive income, and they always try to reduce their burn rate and increase the revenue. And that is the reason they try to hire less people and try to get more work from less people. And this is more common in startups. In large companies, work culture changes from teams to teams. In one team, you might feel it's more toxic, while the other team is more friendly. Basically, the culture differs from teams to teams. But in startups, the number of people are so less that there exists no culture as such. The culture of the company and its impact on you is always decided by the top hierarchy or the most powerful position above your head. They might not set the rules, but they will be the ones who will be checking if the rules are followed or not and how strictly are they followed. I've worked in companies that are too relaxed, yet the people working there are very efficient. I've also worked in companies where work culture is very horrible, but still they are doing good. So the revenue or the growth of company is not always directly dependent on the culture of the company. Companies like TCS also have mixed reviews. Companies like McKinsey also have mixed reviews. Companies like Infosys and even maybe Ola has mixed reviews. Ola actually has bad reviews, and why we will cover in the upcoming videos. So if toxicity is becoming a problem for you, here is how you can save yourself. First of all, you should have minimum number of liabilities, minimum responsibilities, because if you have more responsibilities, then you will not be able to take risks in your life. If you are married, then it is difficult for you to change your company because there are dependents on you, right? Second, if you think that your company has a toxic work culture, there might be a good side to it as well. Maybe you are getting good salary and you are getting consistent salary and there's no problem with your finances. So you can stick with your company. All you need to do is ignore everything that is happening around you and just focus on yourself. Third, if something is happening with you, it's only you who should help yourself first. Then only others will be able to help you. Because if others get in your problem, then they will also face trouble. Your work and your words can make you a villain. So the most important thing that you should do is control your words and make sure you're perfect at your work. Show yourself on the positive side. And if that doesn't help, and if you have to leave, make sure you end things on a happy note. Make sure you close relations on a good note. Before joining a company, you can always talk about company policies with an HR of the company. You can talk about the culture of the company with the employees working at the company. You can get more insights about the company by talking to the people who have left the company. So you should always do a good research before joining a company. And if you join a company and then you realize that the company is not how you expected it to be, it will be only your frame in which the company will be toxic. And this will be a problematic thing for you as well as the company. So make sure that before joining a company, you exactly know what to expect from that company. Only then you will be happy about it. Basically, a job is like a relationship only. Breakups can happen at any time, and a good looking relationship can also take a toxic turn. And I strongly believe that a job can be toxic for one person while it is not toxic for others. Mostly, it is like for 99% people, a job is toxic, and for 1% of people, it's not toxic, because those are the one who are the favorites and who are prioritized and who are benefited from all of this. So that was all the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.